Good morning, good day, and good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Pivoting to Web3. Today we have Adryenn Ashley, and Adryenn is a renowned figure in the blockchain and Web3 world. She's the founder and managing GP of Slay Ventures, an emerging venture firm investing in blockchain-based startups, driving mainstream consumer adoption. She also hosts the globally broadcast television show Minting the Future. She is an award-winning and best-selling author with her upcoming book of the same title, focusing on potential, pitfalls, and perils of NFTs to build communities and drive mainstream adoption of blockchain technology, Web3, and the metaverse. I'd like to welcome Adryenn Ashley here to talk, discover, and give us some insight on Web3 and the technologies.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Glad to have you. I'm so glad to have you as a guest.
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for your show. You are literally the missing piece in driving mainstream consumer adoption. People need somebody who's relatable and not 12.
Well, that's for sure. I'm not 12. I've been hanging around the earth quite some time now, a few decades. Thank you so much for the compliment. But it's awesome working with you and being around and learning and getting insight. I mean, my goodness, you are involved with some of the best projects, and you are the leader in tech, the leader in Web3. How did you get there?
Well, I've always had an interest in technology. I was like a nerd since birth. And at 5, my birthday party was at a think tank in Sausalito in California, in a computer lab. And these were dumb terminals, so, connected to mainframes. And it was like word games. It was an adventure game, like a write your own story, but it was like pick up the stick, open the book, read, like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was at 5. I've been coding since I was 12. I broke into banks for a living. That was one of my favorite jobs, doing penetration studies when online banking first started.
Wow.
And, I built the testing harnesses for a natural language processing artificial intelligence chatbot for banking in 2000. So that was 23 years ago. So I've been in AI for a while. I got into blockchain accidentally in 2009. And I didn't know what Bitcoin was. And I was offered I had consulting fees. And he's like, well, would you take Bitcoin? I'm like, what's Bitcoin? Sure, why not? It's an hour of my time. And I always like to know what's next. So, of course, I only wrote down one key. So there's 2,500 Bitcoin that's never going to circulate ever. And I would say all of us OGs, there's probably about 4 million Bitcoin that we have lost, destroyed. They're in landfills. Our computers blew up. Like, it's just never going to be in circulation. So those are some fun times. But 2012, I got into it really full time. I've always been in entertainment, and I've produced movies, produced television. So the metaverse, and I wrote HTML before the internet was born for a law library. So in a law library, they have books, and every month they would get these updates, and you'd have to replace the pages in the book. Well, now the libraries could get a CD, and it would just have everything updated. So I wrote HTML for that before the internet was born. So I'm always early, like whatever. If you want to know what's going to be hot in 10 years, just look at what I'm doing now, because it will be. I started doing digital ID and pushing for digital ID in 2008, and then blockchain digital ID in 2015. So it's a long time. It's taken a really long time, 15 years for people to figure out that I was absolutely right about digital ID.
You're absolutely right about a lot of things I've found, and that's why I'm so glad to have you on my show. So at the end of the day, you ended up moving in the direction before everybody else, being in the emerging on the technological edge, and therefore really presenting ideas and implementing and developing and creating, and you're still doing that. And you've got some really high-end projects. Tell our listeners about that. What are the ones that are your favorites, and what are the ones that keep you up at night?
Well, so I launched Slay Ventures as a former female founder. I guess I'm still a female founder, but as a founder, women get 1.7% of the venture funding, which denies all logic. Like, it defies all logic. Seriously, we are 70% less likely to fail because we're used to doing more with less. And we're 63% more profitable. You would think just based on those two statistics alone that we would get all of the funding, but we don't. We get 1.7%. And yet in the consumer market, women make 80% of the buying decisions. So we're allowed to buy 98.3% of the stuff that we can buy is made by men. So it's kind of crazy. So I launched the venture fund, Slay Ventures, in order to really back those female-founded startups that are going to drive mainstream consumer adoption and make it safer. So I'm not looking at things that are, a JPEG with a serial number, which is what everybody's talking about, NFTs. NFTs are so much more than that, as you know, as I've told you before.
Yes, for sure.
But the idea is, like Foolproof is one of my favorite portfolio companies. And they are, think of it like Norton antivirus for web wallets. So instead of you accidentally pressing a button and giving a scammer access to your entire wallet and they steal all of your crypto and all of your NFTs and you're like, oh my goodness, how do I get it back? There's no go backsies in blockchain. So this is a key issue. It's a great part because it's immutable and it's permanent, but at the same time, it gives scammers an opportunity to, steal and get away with it. So this way, they can't actually take anything in your wallet because the only thing in there are foolproof tokens. And those are just authentication tokens that mirror the actual asset. So it verifies you still have the actual asset, and then it passes along that information, but they can't actually take anything. So it's perfect. Those kinds of things that are going to make it easier, safer. Think of it like when we had CDs and then DVDs came out, right? CDs had audio, played music at a higher quality than audio cassette tapes. And then all of a sudden now we have DVDs, plays video and audio, right? So better, but similar form factor. That's what I'm really looking at to help drive mainstream adoption.
You're looking at the broad again and emerging once again, and you're bringing it to reality. So what keeps you up at night, specifically with AI? Let me ask about that, because I know you've had your hands in everything Web3. Let's talk about what everybody else is talking about. AI. What keeps you up with AI? Is it worth the fear and all the angst and the anxiety, or should they really be embracing it like I think and making it work for their advantage?
Okay, so I love AI, and I built an AI-based matchmaker for my naughty dating app for good girls that gets women laid by putting consent on the blockchain. So I'm a fan of AI, and I've been, like I said, I built the testing harnesses in 2000 for a chatbot in banking. So I have already gotten over the whole fear thing, and I've always looked at it as a tool. Now the fear part, society's a little chaotic today. People are a little out of their minds, and we need to kind of come back to this logic-based and being nice-based. So I would say the reason I'm not afraid of AI is because I'm very nice to my AI. I compliment it. I congratulate it. I treat it just like my favorite employee. And it literally performs better. And why do I do that? And why am I nice? And why do I say please and thank you? Because when our AI overlords take over, I want to live.
Wow.
So if people want to get into AI, use it as a tool, be kind to it, and literally make it interesting. The more interesting, think about it this way. If you just have a slave robot, like automation building cars, and it's doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over, it's going to get bored, right? So I actually create entire threads of chats in ChatGPT. Like the best thing that anyone who ever has to do any writing or wants to juice up their LinkedIn, they should spend a few hours, grab a drink, whether it be alcoholic or non-alcoholic or whatever, grab a drink and literally start having a conversation with your AI and tell it your life story. Tell it everything you've ever done, your favorite job, the first time you did this, like hours, literally do it like you're going to write an autobiography, but you have to tell it everything because you don't know what's going to be the interesting point. Then once you've trained it on that, then literally have it read everything, use the plugins, have it read everything that you've ever written so it knows what your writing style is. Then that chat is literally going to be your accelerator for social media, for commenting on LinkedIn posts, for whipping up a bio that's a particular flavor of bio, right? Like I have 50 bios, right? What am I talking about? Is it Web3? Is it AI? Is it startups? Is it, fundraising? Is it venture? Like the bio is different for every single one. and you can ask it to write you a bio of a max number of words. This is going to help you with your speaker applications, right? Like it just makes everything faster, right? You prep it, you give it everything. It's all your original content. You're just asking it to be that fabulous assistant. And then my favorite one is a New York Times editor, because I don't punctuate clearly. Grammarly keeps complaining that I'm missing commas. I'm like, it's 10 years, I miss commas. Can't you just insert them for me? Like, you know me well enough. Where's the permission box that says, if this is a chronic problem, just do it? Like, there's 8 different kinds of dashes. There's an M dash and an N dash. And I don't know. There's 8 dashes, 8 of them. I don't know what they do. I don't know the difference. I don't want to know the difference. I just want the AI to put the right dash in the right place for the right reason.
So at the end of the day, my listeners, our listeners, your followers, everyone out there, no matter who you are, whether you're a student, whether you're in business, entrepreneur, nonprofit organization, faith-based, no matter where or what you're doing, you can utilize AI to your benefit so you're not left behind. You can pretty much talk to it like an assistant and give it some oomph, or you can take it down a notch. But meantime, there's something there for everyone to utilize, grow, and be successful and maybe make some wealth. So with that said, what really, when you think about everything you're involved in, what are some of the new areas you're going into that we don't know about yet?
Oh,
what are the secrets?
When is this podcast launching?
Well, what can you share right now?
Okay, well, I will tell you that with Slay Ventures, we're actually in the process of signing a partnership with a company that has 7.5 million developers in their community. And we are going to be launching monthly hackathons. And one of the first ones that we're doing is with AI and entertainment. And it combines a number of things that already exist. We're not even reinventing the wheel, we're reinventing a recipe. So this is the idea. It's like if you're a chef and it's like, think of it like Iron Chef, right? You're given a bunch of random things and now you have to make something fabulous. Well, that's kind of what we're doing, but we're doing it in entertainment, and it's going to be phenomenal. And it's going to empower, the way that we're doing these hackathons, it's going to empower people around the world, especially from nations that don't earn a lot of money. They're going to be able to earn like pretty decent money, but based on a real business model. So unlike Axie Infinity, where everybody was playing the game in order to earn the money, and they were making, some of these third world country kids, they're 12, 14 years old making $1,000 a month. That's like making $1 million here. That's a lot when they're used to making, $1 a week, $2 a week. So that's a lot of money. And then it crashed. Why did it crash? Because it wasn't sustainable. So this is the biggest challenge that we have in Web3 and moving into that arena is we have so much new tech. It's hard for people to think about, well, what can we do that's revolutionary? And I'm thinking, you don't actually have to do something revolutionary. How about you just build a better mousetrap, right? This is how I thought about it when I got into it full time. It was, blockchain is I'm going to say immutable. I usually use the F word, uneffable, withable.
Don't use the F word right now.
I'm not. Immutable ledger. What actually happened. I'm PG with you, baby. I'm PG. I got it. I know your audience. I am PG. An immutable ledger of what actually happened, right? So in what instance, if you think of it that way, right, it is simply an architecture. It is an infrastructure. Well, it's perfect on supply chain. How can you combine that with something else? Well, let's think about you have your Amazon, right? Let's think about Amazon. This makes it even easier. And you have a massive warehouse and you have IoT indicators on all the lights. And it says, oh, look, there's power drain. Boop, light bulb went out. Then that would kick off a smart contract. Do we have a light bulb in stock? If we have a light bulb in stock, then it would trigger the service to send the repairman up to replace the light bulb. And then it would close the ticket when it indicated it was back on. If it didn't have it, then it would kick off a ticket to order it. So then ordering would go and order that. And then when it came in, that would say, okay, now I can open the ticket to have it replaced. And then all of that is done without human interaction other than replacing the light bulb, which at some point the robot can do. But But right now, these are the types of things when it comes to real business models and real world that are very appropriate. NFTs, people say JPEG with a serial number, and I say luxury goods certification, right? Is that a real Louis Vuitton? Well, what's the serial number? Where's the NFT? Is the NFT correct? Now, there's obviously, as we do these innovations, we have to be really careful because, there are fakes. And one of the biggest examples of this was Beeple's 5,000 days, right? $69 million at Sotheby's for a digital piece of art. Now, it was pretty darn cool. But there were issues in the whole infrastructure for smart contracts, which is why Foolproof is so important. I can get to that in a minute. But a hacker named Mr. Nobody kept saying, hey. So what people don't understand in the mainstream, they maybe have heard of an ERC20. That's a token. You can make your own token or creator coin or what token. Then they've heard of an NFT. That's an ERC 721, right? Now there's the ERC 1155 or the 721A. Those are the things that they're familiar with, right? NFTs, tokens. However, blockchain is not just for those particular models, right? It also factors into the financial services industry. And because of that, there are requirements, federal laws and requirements that certain types of things and accounts have to have clawback provisions. Well, if you take that clawback provision, meaning something gets minted in here, but this particular person over here has the power to pull it back, if you just bastardize a whole bunch of contracts all together for the features that you want, you can make the blockchain do things it wasn't really intended to do, like mint version 2 of Beeple's 5,000 days in Beeple's wallet while he was sleeping, and then migrate it to another wallet and be able to put it up for sale.
Oh my goodness.
So that's a problem, right? So, but until he's a white hat hacker. He didn't do it, maliciously. He was making a point that people should probably listen to him. And so white hat hackers and penetration people like
I was just getting ready to ask you, what is a white hat hacker for the audience?
Oh, okay. So a white hat hacker is somebody who is a hacker for good. Think of them like, the cowboys, right? He's wearing a white hat. He's the good guy. And they do that. And a lot of protocols have what are called bounty rewards or bug bounties. So when you find something wrong, you tell the company so they can fix it before a scammer or a black hat hacker. These are the people who break into the Pentagon and change the homepage to porn. Those would be black hat hackers.
But before we go any further, explain to the audience, because we do have some people who've heard of NFTs and some that haven't. What exactly is an NFT? How would you explain that so everybody can understand it? I mean, it's really awesome.
Okay. So ERC20 is a token. A token is divisible to however many decimal points you want. I always like to say, hey, consumers understand 2 cents, 1 cent, 99 cents. Oh, now we're at the full thing. So it's divisible. So it doesn't matter if you have 4 quarters, that's the same as $1. 20 nickels, that's the same as $1. So a regular token is divisible to, when you create the token, you can determine however many decimal points you want. But as an example, Bitcoin has 18. And the tiniest little fraction is called a Satoshi. Now, a non-fungible token means it is one whole entirety and it is indivisible, right? So that would be your NFT. This particular token in its entirety, and usually they have a photo on it, but they don't have to. It could actually be the title to your house, which in Wyoming, land titles are now on NFTs. In Nevada, it could be your marriage license. Marriage licenses in Nevada are NFTs. So non-fungible means you can't transfer a fraction of it anywhere. It's a whole token and it cannot be divided. So that's the difference between fungible, which is 100 pennies is $1, and non-fungible means there's no coins. It's just $1.
Exactly. Thank you so much for explaining that.
Welcome.
So now, as we go forward into that world, I know you're into the gamification
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're into the metaverse and other areas, not to leave what you're doing behind, but I want to make sure we get as much in as possible during this time. I'm going to have you back. But what can you share with us in that area? Because there's so many gamers out there and they grew up on it. So where are we going with that?
So the gamification is really interesting. You have gamers who've been playing and collecting assets in game, but heaven forbid somebody hacks their account and takes their username. Well, they got all their stuff. They've lost everything, but they also never owned it in the first place. That's the other piece about blockchain is it's digital assets and ownership. And with that ownership comes rights, which means you can sell it on the secondary market. So for gaming, if you look at a blockchain like Chromia, which I think is very underrated, just nudge, nudge, wink, wink, you gamers out there, just listen up. Imagine what would happen in your game that you love to play if you could do this. So in Chromia, you can have an NFT wear an NFT. So not only could you buy your armor, your outfit, your skin, your avatar, whatever, you can then add an NFT so you can have a weapon. Now that weapon, your NFT can wear an NFT. That weapon could either have a limited number of uses where you use it 3 times and then just like Mission Impossible, it self-destructs. Or it could be for a limited time frame, like 7 days, and then it self-destructs. And so if it's 3 times, but you really just need this particular weapon to beat the boss at the final level, you buy this weapon or you earn it. See, that's the whole point about the token economy is you can actually spur people in, and the affiliate programs that you can produce, they can be paid in creator coin, which really just gamifies the platform and the community rather than paying them in cash, right? So then you get people who are doing it for the right reasons to build the community rather than people who are doing it for profit. But anyways, they say you buy this gun, you use it the once, you kill the boss, right? It's got 2 more uses left. How valuable is that weapon? It's still pretty valuable. So say you paid $10 for it, you could probably turn around and sell it for $10 or $9, give it a little discount, right? And then when you sell it, the creator of that weapon can have embedded royalties, which means no longer is someone going to buy something for a certain price. It's going to skyrocket in value. And then on the secondary market, the artist or the creator gets nothing. They don't participate in the secondary markets. Well, now they can. So that's a really big piece in the game community. It's the same thing in fashion, right? Luxury goods. If you attach an NFT to that particular thing, I mean, come on, Louis Vuitton handbags. I personally have an obsession with Louis Vuitton shoes. Just saying, right? So if each one of these pieces of luxury goods came with an NFT, which was the certificate, then of originality or the authenticity, right? If it came with that, with a serial number and it's burned in there, if you want to sell that piece, in order for it to be considered the actual luxury piece, you'd have to sell it with the NFT, right? And if you didn't have the NFT and you just bought it and you never had the NFT, then it wouldn't be sold with but you want to keep them together. And then there's another way to do it, which is what we're actually embedding in a new digital twin metaverse marketplace, is if they don't pay the royalties, then the actual NFT itself just locks.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's called Scorched Earth. And I talked about this in 2000 because there was just a plethora of people getting their stuff stolen. And I said, well, so the solution to that would be digital ID. Digital ID authenticates that these are your wallets. And so if a wallet is compromised, you can then literally have everything wrapped. So the images are actually wrapped and the metadata has an on-off switch, and you can trigger that to say stolen. Well, why would somebody steal an NFT if they can't resell it? It's like a bricked iPhone, right? It's good for parts. That's it.
Before we go into the metaverse or into the community side, I want to backtrack just a little bit. I thought about it with the NFTs and now you were talking, but I get a lot of questions about smart contracts. What can you share to our listeners about what a smart contract is and why is it nobody understands it?
Okay, a smart contract is neither smart nor a contract. There we go. That's what a smart contract is. It is basically, think of it like triggers, right? So a smart contract basically outlines, this is what we're doing. These are the assets. And if this happens, then this happens, which is why it's really good for royalties, right? If this token is transferred for sale, then send 10% of the transaction value to this wallet.
So at the end of the day, which I love to say, at the end of the day, for us to understand, transfer the value, how you transfer the asset, that's where your smart contracts are.
Well, smart contracts can do anything, just like NFTs. So that's just one use case, right? Royalties is one use case. Smart contracts can also using additional protocols like Chainlink, right? So there's one NFT and it's got a number of images of the weather and it tracks the real weather in New York City, and your NFT image changes based on the real weather. So that's not a transfer, that's just a functionality. So a smart contract is basically the wrapper around a bunch of functionality.
I like that. I didn't know that. See, I learned something today too. Thank you so much, Adryenn.
It's just a wrapper.
Wow.
The term for a wrapper containing a bunch of stuff that you want to do.
Okay. So that's a lot of different uses for that too, when you think about it that way. Now you've opened up my mind, and I'm sure you've opened up our listeners. So in the world of community, yes, I have learned that Web3 is big on community. It's read, write, trust, verify, but community is big. And you're big in community, followers, establishing communities, growing communities. How can that help all of us in the long term? And where are we now and where are we going with community?
So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, right? So some communities function a lot like echo chambers, where they're hyping a particular token and everybody is drunk the Kool-Aid, and dissenting views are silenced or run out of the room, or flame wars start. That's what we used to call them way back in the 80s on bulletin boards before there was an internet. I'm actually immortalized in a book and my quote is from 1988. That's how long it's been going on. So that was 25 years ago. I made a snarky comment to basically end a flame war. And it's a quote now. So everything you do on the internet is forever. And in blockchain, that's even more true. So one of the issues that we have with community is, what exactly is going on the blockchain? Now, if you're just building a community and it's token gated, that means they have to have a particular asset, a token, an NFT, to get into, to participate in that community. Well, if they say something, they can't delete it if the community itself is on the blockchain. So these are all the architectural considerations that you have to think about. It's also, blockchain's really heavy, right? You may not need a blockchain when a database will do. Everything is about speed with community. But the big thing about community is you want people to be able to get rewards. You want them to be able to up level, get more access. The reason people will pay $250,000 for a Bored Ape is because they get into the private channel for the owners only. A friend of mine paid $250,000, got a Bored Ape, and made about $2 million in 6 months just by being in the room. Why? Because the type of conversations that happen in those rooms are not the same kind of conversations that happen at happy hour at Applebee's. It's not the same kind of conversation. So that's part of this community differentiation. And then a lot of these Web3 communities, they all have, or not all, but like we did or do in Billionaire Zombies Club, have a philanthropic angle, right? So not only is it a social community, but then there's also an impact and things that they do for good, just because that's kind of part of their mission statement, right? So they're teaching people Web3, or like Bulls and Apes, they have an entire financial education section. So they're teaching people about, different types of ways of doing things. Like their God Bulls just earn money and earn meth, their internal token, meth token. But their Teen Bulls, you have to actually go back in every single day to collect. Otherwise, you don't get it, right? So it kind of shows you there's different levels of ways of gamifying your internal community-based token. You can do it when people refer people in, like I was saying, just like a straight affiliate contract, except that they're earning your community's token. And with those tokens, you can do things like give them swag, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, tote bags, or access to events. Or if they own a certain number of your NFTs, then maybe they get a higher level ranking and they get access to all the parties in real life. So there's so many different ways to gamify that, I mean, there's thousands, literally thousands of ways, all the old ways plus all the new ways. And so the community piece is really important. It is very branded. You can't just start well, yeah, you can. You can start a get rich quick channel on Telegram and you'll have like 70,000 people going, shut up and take my money. It's insane. This is the culture piece that I think needs to shift is we have to eliminate the get rich quick ideal, because that's actually what's leading people to get scammed. And we need to look at what is the technical infrastructure, what is the technology driving this that actually improves whatever we're looking at doing, and then how does it actually help with equality and opportunity and the ability for anyone, anywhere to have the opportunity to build something that creates lasting value for them, their community, and supports them.
And lastly, and thank you so much with that, because you confirmed a few things for me that I've learned in the last year or so, that your network is your net worth. And there's different conversations, different opportunities, different pathways to moving forward and improving the quality of life and your wealth and your health. So as we end this conversation, what is it you haven't mentioned that you'd like everybody to know? And where can they contact you?
Well, I'm at Adryenn, Adryenn, pretty much everywhere. That makes it easy. And Minting the Future is my globally broadcast television show. Also has a community. And we have token gated community passes. We want people to understand what NFTs are, what they can be used for. So we give away a community access pass. So they have to learn how to get a wallet and they have to learn how to use MetaMask. I'm at Adryenn, Adryenn, pretty much everywhere. So that makes it easy. I'm also at mintingthefuture.com. That is my globally broadcast television show that is launching soon. So we focus on companies that are really driving what consumers are going to be experiencing and engaging with now, like what their future is going to look like, to give them a little head start. I always tell everybody, Web3 is coming, blockchain is coming. You can either wait and just kind of ignore it until the very last minute when everybody has to upgrade, or you can start now, and then your onboarding is a nice, slow, easy ramp up, and it'll be fun that way. So that's me, and I look forward to meeting everybody. I'm super easy on Twitter at Adryenn. Just publicly tweet me, and I always respond.
That's exciting. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you for this episode. I hope my listeners and our followers are looking forward to shaping tomorrow together as we go forward on Web3 and learn new technologies, the opportunities, the limitations, and maybe a couple of aha moments or downward spirals. So with that said, have a great day. And thank you, Adryenn Ashley.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Pivoting to Web3 at pivotingtoweb3.com. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that it gets to you with every episode that comes out. We have lots of great opportunities, limitations, and downward spirals being revealed by our guests. And thank you in advance for all your reviews and comments. I appreciate you so much. I look forward to serving you in the next week's episode.